And yet she hears about Jesus. That was the moment when she decided that she needed to walk through a door. So she gets on her hands and knees and she goes through this crowd and touches the hem of his garment because she believes that if she just touches the hem of his garment, that something is going to happen. And bam, as soon as she touches the hem of his garment, Jesus says, "Whoa! Who touched my clothes?" Now, the 12 bodyguards, who aren't really great bodyguards, look at him and say, "You see there's 500 people crowding against you, yet you ask us who's touched you." But he keeps looking around. Why? Because he felt the power going out from him. And she comes and she tells him the whole thing. And notice what he does not say. He does not say, "The power of God has healed you." He does not say, "My work and the atonement on the cross is what brought healing into your life." Doesn't say that. He says, "Your faith has healed you." Now, I know that that challenges many of us theologically, but to all fairness, he's the one that said that. I'm not the one saying it. He said it. In essence, when we act in accordance to what we believe, that activates the hand of God. When God sees that you're willing to do something, to walk in a certain direction, then doors begin to open up. If we were to change and put Pastor Schuler in that location, he would have said, "Your possibility thinking has healed you." Your faith is what opened the door for God's change in your life. Now let me ask you this. How many of you need a door to open today, this week, this month, this year? Would you lift up your hand? Look at the amount of hands going up. I want you to, I'm standing here with you with my hand in the air. Everyone is looking for an open door. Whether it be with our finances, our marriage, our personal relationships, our family relationships, our careers. Maybe we're even looking for a mother-in-law down the road. We're looking for some kind of change to come our way. I say that to all the single people who are looking for their future mother-in-law. There is hope in Jesus. But you got to believe and act. Believe and act, because when you act according to what you believe, it activates the hand of God. I'm the author of this book that's entitled Breaking the Barriers. And it's got a really great endorsement from Dr. Schuler, among a few others. And I want to share with you a story out of this book, because it's very appropriate. And I'd highly recommend you get a copy, especially if you need to break barriers. How many of you need to break barriers? I'd highly recommend you get a copy of it. And if you've got a lot of barriers, you might want to pick up a case. A few years back, and by the way, she said Radio Nueva Vida very well. That's the radio network that we have our daily live evangelistic program. And the Lord impressed upon my heart, He said, "Jason, I want you to start a 2-minute podcast or a 2-minute micro program in English." And I said, "Why in English?" And the Lord said, "Because you speak English." I said, "Okay." I said, "But Lord, I've got a team of producers and voiceover guys to introduce the program, but in English, I don't know anyone. I need a celebrity voice. I need someone who's got some weight behind them. You know, Kelsey Grammer does Hyundai, and the guy on Law and Order does TD Ameritrade, and I got all these I need somebody to introduce my program in English." And my wife and I, after praying, we were in bed, 11:30 at night, and on comes a Geico commercial. And you've seen the Geico commercial. Middle-aged lady sitting in her kitchen. Standing behind her is a grown man, standing up, shaved head, earphones, and she looks into the camera and says, when the storm hit, both of our cars were totally in the water. And the voiceover guy says, in a world where both of our cars were totally underwater. You've seen the commercial. As soon as that gentleman uttered those words, the Lord spoke to me and said, there's your voiceover guy. Now, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with that. Am I just supposed to call him up and say, hi, my name is Jason. God spoke to me. Apparently, you're my new voiceover guy. And I was conflicted because I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do. But I got up, went over to my computer, and I Googled this gentleman whose name is Don LaFontaine. Don LaFontaine is the most famous voiceover talent in the history of Hollywood. He has done over 5,000 movie trailers and made a ton of money doing it. He was so good that he could do it on the first take. He had a monograph limousine that would take him from all the different studios, 8 to 12 stops a day, and at $5,000 to $10,000 a pop, his last stop would be to the bank to deposit all of his money. And I discovered that that's what he made, and I thought, well, God, I'm not sure if you got the right guy for the job, but I'll call his agent Monday morning, which I did. And that was in August of 2006. And to this day, his agent has not returned my phone call. But I found a link, an email link. Lord just says, tell him what you need. Wrote out, my name is Jason Frenn. I'm a missionary evangelist. I'd like to start a radio program. I don't even have a radio program. Well, I want to start one. I want you to be my voiceover guy. I contacted your agent, but he hasn't returned my phone call. How can we start the process? By the way, I love your work. Fired off that email. That was August 31st, 2006. September the 1st, the next morning at 10:39 a.m., there was an email in my in-basket with one sentence, and it read, Jason, I'd love to help you. Send me the text. Be careful what you pray for. Because God opens doors, and when He opens those doors, He expects you to walk through them. So I quickly hammered out an email, an intro, and a tail, knowing that He gets paid by the word. It amounted to 30 seconds of text. And I put a nice little clause at the end of my email saying, I might need a little time to come up with your fees. Fired off that email at 11:30 in the morning. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, September the 1st, 2006, there was an email with an MP3 audio file attachment in my in-basket with one sentence. It said, Jason, here you go. God bless. Don LaFontaine. I've never spoken with him, never had a conversation. I don't know what his voice sounds like person to person, aside from what I've heard in a movie theater. Lying in bed, the Lord says, there's your voiceover guy. And the miracle was not convincing Don to do something for me. The miracle was God convincing Jason to get out of bed. Now, I want to suggest that you go and you subscribe to our podcast. Friend, it's worth it just to hear him introduce me. Last year, September the 1st, 2008, 2 years to the day, Don LaFontaine passed away. Doors open, and then they close. Do you have what it takes to walk through the door?